Welcome to today's story, a journey filled with emotions, where secrets slowly unfold and the truth keeps you hooked until the very end. Greetings to all, I am Mia, born and raised in Virginia. A tranquil setting adorned with streets embraced by trees and extended lines of homes dotting the landscape. During my formative years, I was primarily in the company of my parents. My mother was a kind spirit, her smile greeting me each morning as she lovingly prepared breakfast, continuing to shine until the day turned to night. In the modest kitchen, she challenged my father, a man of few words yet immense responsibility, who toiled diligently to provide for our family. Our home was modest and unadorned, yet it overflowed with warmth and affection. All that lingered in my memory seemed flawless, or so I believed. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, allowing me to keep sharing more captivating true stories like this one. Be sure to watch this video all the way through, as this story promises to be truly captivating. Yet, at the tender age of 15, my entire world came crashing down. My mother passed away after a brief and unexpected illness so swiftly that I couldn't grasp what was unfolding. The sense of emptiness deepened. I observed my father sink into solitude within a home that had once resonated with joy. We carried on living under the same roof, yet the essence of our family had faded away. Each morning, I made my way to school, and each night, I returned home. It was still the same kitchen, the same simple meals, but my mother was no longer there. Each meal now included only 2 people. The gap between my father and me seemed to expand beyond the confines of our home when, at the age of 18, he chose to remarry. It was utterly unexpected. Although I understood, deep within, that he was worthy of finding joy once more. His new wife, my stepmother, possessed a warm and tender spirit. Accompanying her was a son named Alex, who happened to be a year my junior. Initially, it seemed peculiar, as though my existence had been flipped on its head. Once more, the tranquility I had once cherished was gone. At first, I experienced a sense of unease in my attempts to bond with my new younger brother, despite the fact that he had never given me any reason to feel this way. He was silent and akin to me, was striving to adjust to our new circumstances as the evenings unfolded. The entire family would convene in the living room, my father and stepmother engaged in conversation about their jobs or upcoming endeavors, while Alex and I shared knowing looks. Overwhelmed by confusion, I found myself lowering my head in response. Family meals transformed into peculiar opportunities for us to connect more deeply. Alex frequently assisted me with food, a seemingly small gesture that carried a weight of significance. He often remained silent, his words few and far between, yet there were moments when his gaze held a lingering intensity that spoke volumes. I found myself questioning whether I was being overly sensitive, or if it was just a younger brother's fondness for his new older sister. Yet there was an undeniable tension that lingered between us, feelings that should have remained purely sisterly but had become increasingly complicated. There were instances during the day when my heart would quicken at his nearness, and I loathed that feeling. I despised the realization that I had begun to see him as something beyond a brother. One night, I heard a faint light. Echoes of footsteps reverberate through the hallway. Alex slipped into my room as he often did, and we would engage in brief conversations before he returned to his own space. However, this time he lingered. Lengthier than normal. His gaze locked onto mine, as though he yearned to communicate something profound. Uncertainty gripped me as I contemplated my response. The air around us was heavy with tension. The silence lingered, and before I could even process it. As I nodded, subtly encouraging him to linger a bit more, we found ourselves enveloped in darkness, 2 strangers drawn inexplicably close. To be truthful, I had a fondness for Alex. He possessed a striking handsomeness that drew me in. At times, I found myself questioning whether guilt should weigh on my conscience, given that he was my brother in name. Yet, those musings were swiftly overshadowed by the rational understanding that accompanied our shared existence under one roof. We slept in separate rooms on the 2nd floor, while my father and stepmother resided below us on the 1st floor. This arrangement occasionally resulted in uncomfortable situations. Both Alex and I found ourselves at crucial turning points in our lives. As a college freshman, I found myself navigating new experiences, while he, a high school senior, was deeply immersed in his exam preparations. We were both in a phase of adjustment, each facing our own challenges, a fresh cadence of existence. Yet, the air was thick with unspoken words during those still evenings post-school. We would nestle together on the sofa in the living room, the soft glow of the TV casting a warm light over our quietude as we grappled with the elusive nature of conversation. The emotions shared between us were shrouded in uncertainty. Not the usual feelings one expects between siblings. I came to understand that I truly had feelings for him. This realization, beyond the warmth of family ties, left me in a state of confusion. Still, I couldn't ignore the way my heart quickened at the sight of Alex. It was a tranquil evening, much like any other, when I came to the unsettling realization that this night would not conclude in the same manner. My parents had embarked on a trip for 5 days, leaving Alex and me to navigate the solitude of our home. At first, we believed it would be an opportunity to unwind without the watchful eyes of adults. That evening, we settled into the living room, the glow of a romantic movie flickering on the screen, one that neither of us had any real interest in, but it served to pass the time. I had laid out a selection of snacks, dried squid, some fruits, and a few cans of Soda Town Wind, a small indulgence after a hectic week. The film commenced. We chatted innocently, laughter echoing through the quiet house, when suddenly an unexpected scene unfolded, revealing a couple locked in a passionate embrace for reasons that remained a mystery. Silence enveloped us. The laughter dwindled, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. As I sat there, clutching my soda can to steady my nerves, I could sense Alex's gaze upon me, an unspoken connection that sent a warm sensation coursing through my body. Suddenly, Alex wrapped his arms around me. His movements were powerful, surprising, and completely captivating. His kisses were fervent, as if all the emotions we had kept at bay had finally erupted. I couldn't ignore the chaos within my heart, yet my body reacted in a way that defied reason. In that moment, shrouded in the darkness of the quiet room, we had crossed the boundary that once defined our sibling bond. That night shifted from an ordinary evening into something profoundly unique. It signified a pivotal moment, a transformation that I sensed would reshape everything throughout that entire night. Alex and I were bound together, transcending all limits. Our words were few, yet everything unfolded naturally, a culmination of feelings long held back. The intimacy we once shared began to wane, giving way to emotions that spiraled beyond our grasp. The next morning is etched in my memory, as the soft sunlight streamed through the curtains while I lay beside Alex in what ought to have been my tranquil sleeping haven. Everything around me remained the same. The room was quiet, the light warm. Yet, something within me had irrevocably shifted as we exchanged glances. A few words exchanged, glances shared that hinted at a profound understanding. Our lives would never be the same again. In the days that followed, my father and stepmother continued their travels, and we embraced every moment of our time together. Gone was the awkwardness, replaced instead by a complex sense of comfort. We existed like a young couple in love, unburdened by the scrutinizing gaze of the world around us. Meals evolved from lively family gatherings into cherished moments shared solely between Alex and me during our nightly viewings. Films whispered to us as we spent our evenings together, and in those moments, I allowed myself to drift away from reality, choosing to overlook the truth that Alex and I were merely siblings by name. We were a blissful pair, lost in our own little universe, unaware of the chaos beyond our bubble. At last, the day came when my parents returned, and upon stepping into the house, everything fell back into its familiar rhythm. Alex and I fell back into our roles as siblings, acting as if nothing had happened, as if every intimate moment had simply been a passing dream. My parents, blissfully unaware, smiled and chatted about their travels while Alex and I shared knowing glances, fully aware that our secret had to stay concealed. In the months that followed, we nurtured our hidden relationship, stealing moments whenever possible. Those secret evenings, brimming with passion, soon became our cherished routine. Whenever my parents retired for the night or stepped out, Alex would quietly enter my room, and we would embrace as if no walls had ever existed between us. During the day, we maintained a facade of normalcy, but in those moments, everything felt different. Family meals returned to their usual rhythm, yet Alex and I shared nothing more than brief, elusive glances. This concealed tension left me gasping, yet the guilt that lingered was not potent enough to drive me away. I persisted in my hidden existence each night with Alex, a routine that felt so ingrained that I worried I might never break free. Aware that I couldn't allow this to go on, I quietly started taking birth control pills, determined to keep my actions a secret from everyone. I dreaded the potential consequences of our relationship, yet instead of stopping ICOS to maintain control, about a year later Alex graduated and moved to a new city for college. When he left, I knew our relationship would inevitably change, even if I didn't want to admit it. The distance made things harder. No more secret nights, no more quiet moments shared. The physical separation forced us to pause our relationship. Though I often felt nostalgic for our past, after graduating I sought a new path for myself. I applied for a job as an office worker at a digital company. The position was nothing extraordinary, but it offered me stability, a respite from the emotional turmoil I had experienced. That's when he met him, the man who would change my life forever. He owned a successful hair salon in the city and exuded calmness, confidence, and charm. From our first meeting I was struck by his strength and kindness. He was unlike anyone I had ever known. Every story he shared, every glance he offered made me feel safe, something I'd long yearned for. We fell in love quickly. Everything unfolded naturally, as if we were destined to find one another. Before long we were married, beginning the family life I had always dreamed of. Now we have a child together, and life feels more complete than ever. My time spent with him and our child provided a brief escape from the haunting memories of the past, though they would sometimes emerge during my moments of vulnerability. I realize I have discovered a new sanctuary, a man deserving of love and admiration. Yet, in the recesses of my mind, the memories of Alex from those clandestine days persist, stubbornly resisting complete oblivion. I often wondered if I would ever truly forget, but now I have a family to protect in, and that is what matters most. Yet a part of me feels guilty towards my husband. He is a wonderful man, always showing me genuine care and affection, but every time I look into his eyes I feel a heaviness in my heart, as if I am hiding a part of my past that he deserves to know. I grapple with the question of whether I should tell him about my past with Alex. The thought keeps me awake at night, torn between revealing the truth and keeping the secret forever. I fear that if I confess, he might never look at me the same way again. Everything we have built, the little family I cherish, could crumble due to my admission. On the other hand, living with this secret feels like a burden weighing me down each day. It makes me feel unworthy of the love he has for me. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I stand at a crossroads, uncertain which path is the right one. Perhaps when you hear my story you will judge me for hurting many people and for the poor decisions I made in the past. But I can only ask you, if you were in my situation, what would you do? Would you choose to confess the truth knowing it might shatter everything, or would you choose silence, letting the past sink deep into your memory, hoping it never returns to harm those you love? I hope to receive your advice in the comments section below. If you were in my shoes, what would you choose? Should I share everything and face the consequences, or should I keep this secret to safeguard what I have? I appreciate any advice, sympathy, or criticism, because truly I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain of the right path forward.